Vermont State Board of Education met on Wednesday, September 19th at Green Mountain Union High School in Chester to hear from an array of local school board members and educational officers from supervisory unions as the deadline for a final determination of school district mergers and consolidation nears. Under Act 46, legislation passed in 2015, the State Board of Education has until November 30th, barely 2 months away, to develop a final determination of where districts who haven't already lined up merger partners may be headed, now that their window of opportunity to determine their own futures has effectively closed. A preliminary report was issued by the State Board last June, and now the task before the State Board and the Agency of Education is to write a statewide plan based on the information it received over the course of 3 regional meetings held across the state. The one in Chester was the last of the 3 and focused on school districts in the southern part of the state. The issue now is whether districts that haven't merged yet will be forced to merge with other districts or be left as is. The predominant sentiment among those who addressed the State Board was that they weren't keen on being pushed into so-called forced mergers, some of them passionately opposed to giving up local control or their traditional way of doing things.
We present the following. Is merger possible? No. The town of Windham voted against merger. We did not consent. Our duly warned and voted motion does not represent community sentiment. Rather, it represents democracy, and Windham voters said no. Let's now acknowledge the elephant in the room, school closure. We tiptoe around this issue saying that that is not what we're talking about. But in fact, given the WCSU superintendent's recent proposal, Plan B, which includes closing Jamaica School, it is a reality. When asked where Windham would have fit into the plan, we could not get an answer. If forcibly merged, what we foresee is a systematic dismantling of the Windham School, and with 1 member on an 11-member board, we will be powerless to oppose it.
On the other hand, the board also heard about mergers that have gone well and have resulted in both more educational opportunities for students combined with cost savings. Bennington-Rutland Superintendent Jacqueline Wilson was one who talked positively about how the still recent Taconic and Green Regional District, which includes several local school districts in northern Bennington County, was one of them.
Something else that I did not anticipate to happen this quickly was our ability to really start to reallocate staffing and resources within Taconic and Green. But because our staff is one unit, we are able to start to shift staff from building to building. We've been able, like the board agreed, to adopt a commitment to the use of attrition to reduce staffing and to get a more reasonable student to staff ratio. And we have been able to move staff from building to building. We haven't had to do a lot of that, but we've been able to do it. And we, right now, I just spoke with my business manager yesterday, and we're looking at, and this is at the SU level because it's trickling, that the Taconic and Green is the mega district. But we're looking right now, and we did not anticipate this, but about $250,000 worth of savings in just wages. So.
We spoke with Superintendent Wilson afterwards about her thoughts on how Act 46 and school consolidation are unfolding here.
The other things that we have noticed is we've been able to really address the issue of equity in some of our schools. So when we built the budget this year, we took a look at all of our schools and we said, what level of intervention support are we providing in the areas of reading and mathematics? What level of programming are we providing as far as mathematics, especially in the area of algebra we've been struggling with. We're still really wrestling with foreign language. We didn't address that. We didn't address health. We're going to have to do that next year. But we looked at student supports, I think was more of our focus this year. And by that I mean intervention support, specialist support, guidance, nursing. And what we were able to do is to provide to one of our schools who had a more at-risk and needier population, we were able to up their guidance and their nursing support. And that has been so great for that school. And we were able to do that without any additional costs.
Other districts hope for an outcome that will leave things more or less as they are. William Basic, the superintendent of the Battenkill Valley Supervisory Union, which includes Arlington and Sandgate, spoke about how the Sandgate School District hopes to remain partnered with Arlington in some way, even if the two towns are placed in a different supervisory union.
Distributed a good report to the state board, basically stating that they'd like to be left alone, as many towns here today are. I think they have a pretty good case, though. I mean, they are a very fiscally conservative town that for years has done very well. Their tax rate varies very little. Obviously, one of the merger partners will be Winhall, that is going through more of a volatile tax rate at this point. Also, Winhall is, I would call, much more transient than Sandgate. Sandgate is kind of, you have to go through Arlington to get to Sandgate. It's many families that have been there for years, and they don't have huge influxes or people moving in and out. So it's a very steady, stable population. They've done great for one of the things that may or may not occur eventually is the SU boundaries may be looked at this spring by the State Board of Education. Arlington, who's very close, almost a partner with Sandgate, Battenkill Valley Union may have their boundaries adjusted to either join the SVSU or the BRSU. One thing that Sandgate wants heard is they want to end up, if that did occur, it's nobody's wishes. Everyone would like to remain the same. The BVSU would like to remain open. But if that didn't occur, Sandgate would like to make sure that they're in the same SU with Arlington.
One of the local school districts who addressed the state board was Winhall, which saw pressures on their school tax rates balloon last year as enrollment numbers spiked. Winhall does not operate its own schools and tuitions all its students out to neighboring schools and school districts. Board members there are hopeful those enrollment numbers will ease a bit this year and sought to persuade the state board that staying as an independent school district within the BRSU was a good way to go.
What it showed us is that we really need to have a lot more communication with our receiving schools, particularly independent schools, and we've been working on that. And we've also been really trying to ratchet down on the residency requirement. We've changed the form that we're requesting families to fill out, and that has really proven to be quite beneficial. So I can tell you with certainty, we're not going to get to the 196 students that we approved in this current year's budget. Yeah, I think it was time well spent. We were all really happy to be able to have that opportunity to explain why Winhall is a unique situation, much like some of the other non-operating districts in the state, and to really be able to have that dialogue with the State Board of Education and help them explain, where we are and where we hope to be.
Oliver Olson, a member of the State Board of Education, who until recently served in the state legislature and who played a role in the creation of Act 46, spoke about the challenges involved with consolidating districts who had not yet found merger partners.
Act 46 definitely was designed to provide some flexibility to deal with difficult merger scenarios. We certainly, as a state board certainly has been presented with a number of difficult scenarios where, mergers are, if not possible, may not be practicable. So those are important considerations. But there are a number of districts who, for a variety of reasons, have not been able to find a merger partner that may be the right partner from their perspective, but it does not necessarily mean that it's an impossibility or even that it would be an impractical solution.
John O'Keefe, another member of the state board, said that all the school districts knew the ground rules at the same time, and some districts managed to conform with them, and allowing other districts more leeway raised some concerns.
The thing I think of locally is, how do we say to the districts that actually went through the whole process and developed a merger system and created these new districts and created these new efficiencies and created these new opportunities for students, how do we say to them, well, sorry you did that, you didn't really want to do it, but your community came together and came up with a plan and complied with Act 46, and now these towns and these school districts at the end of the process get a pass. A complete pass, just saying, well, we voted it down, so we shouldn't have to merge.
The State Board will be meeting again in October to deliberate some more and to consider all the testimony and input from the school districts around the state as it works to draw up its final consolidation plan, due by the end of November. Several local school districts will be watching closely for that report. For the GNAT-TV News Project, I'm Andrew McKeever.